Hi everyone, Michael here, and I am going to show you, as the video title suggests, how to install Windows Millennium Edition. Now, why the hell am I going to show you how to install one of the worst versions of Windows? Well, mostly because I'm bored, and also because I kind of like it, which is weird. But overall, it's just because why the hell not? Anyhow, you will probably need one or two things for this. One, the installation CD for Windows Millennium Edition, and two, a boot disk for Windows Millennium. Now there's two options for the boot. You can use either a floppy disk, you can either use a floppy disk, or if you manage to get a hold of a bootable CD of Windows Millennium, that's much better. I will be using an ISO file, or ISO if you prefer, which basically is the CD but like a virtual CD. That's just to put it in very layman's terms. This ISO I have here is bootable, so I don't need to worry about floppy. Also, I will be installing on a virtual machine, but everything of what I'm going to show you here can be used on a real computer. Sorry. Before I begin, I must tell you that none of this is scripted. I'm speaking as I do the thing, so I will probably trip over my words very constantly, very often. Okay? So please forgive me, excuse me. Well, now let's suppose you are using a floppy disk as the boot disk. The first thing you need to do when you turn on the computer you are going to install this thing is go into the setup for the BIOS or BIOS. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that in English. Yeah, English is not my first language. Sorry. So let's do this. I'll put on full screen for no distractions. Let me restart. Enter setup. Okay. Now this screen will probably differ from the computer depending on the computer you are using, but most of the basics are the same. You will come here on boot, and if you are using a floppy disk as the boot disk, you want to change for the first boot device. You want to put either floppy disk or removable devices, depending on what you have over there on the computer you are using. But because I am using a CD with boot included, I will put CD-ROM drive in first place. What this means is, I am telling this virtual machine that you don't have to look for a boot on the CD first of all. If I put sorry, see, a trip. If I put removable devices on first place here, or floppy disk, depending on if this was a different setup, I would be telling the machine to look for a boot sector on the floppy drive, which I don't have. So if you're going to use a floppy, you will want the option removable devices or floppy disk, depending on the setup you have. If you are using a bootable CD, then you want CD first. Now once you have this set up, exit saving changes. Yes? Okay. Then the computer will restart and will look for a boot, which mine isn't finding because I haven't inserted the disk yet. Like I said, I am going to use an ISO file, so let me grab it. And where is it? Windows operating systems. I am going to install Windows Millennium in English. Okay. Restart. There, see, now that I have the disk in, it found a boot. You probably will have the same options as I have here. You will want to start computer with CD-ROM support, because you will need to access the CD. So enter on start computer with CD-ROM support. Wait a little bit until it loads the files. There we go. Now that you have reached this screen where it says to view help, type help and then press enter. A to dot slash this thing, I forgot the name. In here you will have to type F disk like so, then press enter. Confirm Y. This Y, see, I'm not asking a question. Type enter. In this screen you have some options to create a partition on your hard drive. You need to do this in order to install the Windows first. Because the hard drive I am going to install this Windows copy into is completely blank, I will need to create a partition. If you already have a partition, then you don't really need this part, but I recommend you do it. You will probably be doing from a blank disk as well, I don't know. Anyhow, type 1 for create DOS partition or logical DOS drive and press enter. Create primary DOS partition, that's 1, then enter. Wait a little bit. Do you wish to use the maximum available size for primary DOS partition? Yes. Enter. Wait a little. Okay. Now the setup is asking to restart the computer, so you can just press Ctrl Alt Delete or hit the reset button if you are using a real computer. But if you are installing this on a virtual machine, please do not press the reset button on your computer. Seriously. Oops, forgot. Have to click here. Okay, now that you have restarted, come here again on the second option. Start computer with CD-ROM support. Wait until it loads. And let's check the partition we just made, okay? Type F disk, like so, enter, yes. Now instead of going to the option 1, you will pick option 4, display partition information, and hit enter. There it is. Partition C, status A, which means active, type primary DOS, system unknown. This means that there is no partition here yet. You made the space, but you haven't formatted yet. Press ask to continue. Ask again. You will return to this screen with just a plain blank A. Type format C 2 dots like this. Warning: all data on non-removable disk drive C will be lost. Proceed with format, yes or no. This is important. If you are going to install this on a hard drive that has important data that must not be lost, then you don't want to do this. Your answer will have to be no. You have to first save the data. But since we are doing this on a blank thing, let's say yes, enter, and wait. Now here you can give a name for the partition you just made. You can just leave it blank for no name, like I'm going to do this, or you can write something, like let's say banana. Yeah, I'll leave it blank. Just hit enter. Now we are back to this screen, back to the prompt command on A. Type C 2 dots. Now the letter changed from A to C. It means that now we are in the hard drive. If you type dir, and hit enter, It will list all the files that are currently in that partition, which are, as for C, absolutely none. So let's make one. Now here's a little trick. Usually you could just return to the A disk drive, you could just return to A and start the installation of Windows. But if you do that, once Windows is installed, for every single program you install afterwards, it will ask for the installation CD. So to avoid that, here's a little trick. While you are still on C, type md win and I don't know, anything. I'm going to put MA. This command will create a folder called Win MA, which I am doing this to stand for Windows Millennium Edition. Hit enter. There. Type dir. There's the folder, see? Now type cd and the name of the folder you have just created. In my case, WinMA. Okay, this folder is empty. Let's leave it here. Type A two dots to return to the floppy, or actually not the floppy, the boot. Doesn't matter, does it? And actually that's not A, I'm sorry. You have to go to the CD now. Here's the kind of tricky depending on the drivers you have on your boot system. You will have to go to the CD, so you have to type the letter that corresponds to your CD drive. Okay, mine is D. Good. Let's confirm with dir. Nope. Wrong partition. Let's try R. That's not R. E. Is it E? Yes, it's Z. Not Z. It's E. Okay. Now this is the root of the CD. Type cd win9x, like this. See? That's where all the files of Windows are located. Hit enter. If you type dir, it will list all the files that are contained in that folder. Let's copy everything to that folder we have just made on the drive C. Type copy space dot space C two dots slash and the name of the folder you have just made. In my case, WinMA, and hit enter. And wait until all the files are copied. Okay, the files have been copied. Let's go back to C. Type C two dots. We are still in the folder we made, which is exactly what we want. Let's confirm the files are here first, shall we? dir. Okay, everything's there. Now that you have the files in here, you may start the installation. Setup. Setup is now going to perform a routine check on your system. To continue, press enter. To quit setup, press ESC. You want to continue, so press enter. Wait a little bit. Alright, my hard drive has no issues. Let's continue. Press ESC, not ESC, X to continue. There we go. And welcome to the Windows Millennium Edition setup, which looks exactly the same as the Windows 98 setup. In here you are going to perform a few steps to set up the Windows, like for example where you are going to install. Now remember when I told you to make that folder on C, like I did, like this, yeah, and you copied files into that? Well, all the Windows you are installing now, the installation where you are running now, is not, the files are not coming from your CD, they are coming from your hard drive. This process will make the installation faster and also will prevent Windows from asking for its installation disk every single time you install something new. So proceeding, I'm sorry, I had a little bit of lag. My brain lagged. Okay. So here you can leave it just as it is. See Windows, which is recommended. Click Next and wait, it's preparing the directory. Setup options. In this part, you may choose which stuff you want to install on your system, on Windows I mean. That is, all the features that the operating system brings within itself. If you don't really know what you're doing, you can just have it marked on typical and click on next. But since I am an advanced user, I will pick custom, next, and I will pick everything. Just because I can. Mark. No Outlook Express. Nah, I don't like Outlook Express. It may go away. Next. Okay, here you will give your computer a name. I will name this Win MA Workgroup. This is mostly if you have a network on the computer you are, if you have the computer you are installing this connected to a network. Since I have it, I'm going to put the name of my network, workgroup, which is Casa. Next. Select the language where you live, English, correct. Next. Country or region, actually hold on, I want to change this one here to Brazilian Portuguese because of my keyboard. You don't need to do this part. Just pick the language that you want. It doesn't really matter. Here you pick your region. I'm going to pick Brazil. Here you are going to pick keyboard. If you live in the United States or I don't know, whatever other country, you shall look for the one that matches your keyboard. Like if you are in the United States, you will probably want this option, United States 101. But since I'm in Brazil and my keyboard is different, I'm going to pick Portuguese, Brazilian, A, B and T2. Next. And here you will pick your time zone. So let me find mine. Here, this one. You can leave this checked or unchecked, it doesn't really matter. It's just about the daylight saving time. And click Next. Now setup. The installation setup, we want to create a new boot disk. This option is only used if you are going to make a new boot disk on a floppy disk. Since if you already have one and you don't want to override it, or if you are not using a floppy disk at all and instead using a bootable CD like I am, you may just click cancel. Now if you want to create a new boot floppy disk, or you want to override your current one, you may just leave it into the drive and click OK. But since I am not using this and I don't want this, I'm going to click cancel. Remove the disk and then click OK to continue setup. This is important. If you are using a floppy disk for the boot, remove it now. Done? Okay, let's continue. Okay. Ready to begin copying files. Yay! Click Finish. And now we just wait. This might take a while, so I am going to speed up the footage, and I'll catch you later. See ya! Thank you. Please register your copy of Windows Me. Well, that was quick, wasn't it? Only took forever. Right, setup is now ready to restart the computer. Now, if you're using a bootable CD like I am, then you will need to change the boot order now. Well, not right now, when you restart, that is. If you use a floppy for the boot, then you may ignore this part. But since I am using a bootable CD, I cannot ignore. Okay, restart now. Let's go to setup and change the boot order. Let's put the hard drive in first place now. The reason why I have to change the boot order now is because, like I said, I'm using a bootable CD. If I keep the CD in the first place, like it was on the beginning of the video, it will look for a boot in there again and won't continue the installation I am doing. And the same applies to you if you're using a bootable CD. So, change to hard drive, then save and exit. And the installation will continue. Now onwards for the third part of the installation. Setting up hardware. This may take a while as well. I probably should have mentioned that when installing Windows, actually any operating system that is, you need a little bit of patience. Well then, now that we are here, it's time for you to input a few personal information about yourself, or just write anything you want here. Basically, Windows is asking who are you and who owns this Windows. So I am going to enter my name. Oops, typo. Hey. Click here. I accept the agreement, then next. Now this is a touchy part. Because this is a serial code, I cannot let you see what I am going to type here. So with a snap, there, it's all black now. You can see anything I'm going to type. This is an important part of the installation because this is like a password, sort of. It's a serial code that will allow you to continue the installation. Without this, you cannot proceed. And I just made a typo. Brilliant. Give me just a minute while I type this thing. It's a long code. Put that. No, this one, that, this, that. Not making typos, not... I just made a typo. Oh wait, no, I didn't. Never mind. Now for the last segment. Here. That one, this one, and voila. Now that the serial is all in, click on next. If you don't have a serial, then too bad. I'm sorry, but you are on your own. This one. I cannot tell you any serial codes. It will be illegal, you know. Yeah, nice. I made a typo. Shh. Damn it. Let me reveal this thing. Hold on. Okie dokie. Crisis averted. I was using the wrong code all along. I'm an idiot. Now that we have the right code, click on next. Completing Windows Millennium Edition setup. Finish. And wait a little bit more. Actually no, let's click on restart now. And now you wait. If I recall well, Windows will start now. Anytime now. There we go. Okay. My mistake. It won't start now. It's still installing. Yeah, it's okay. No problem. You know what's good for when you are doing this stuff? It's good to do other stuff. Alright, finally, let's restart. You may just wait, but I like to do it quickly, so I click on restart now. And there we go, Windows. Now you may type a username and password if you wish. I will just put in Mike. And wait just a little longer until it finishes doing some stuff. This part now should be much shorter than all the waiting we did so far. And there we go. Windows Millennium Edition is finally installed. It only took forever, but it's here. Now, everything I showed you so far is only the basics on how to install the operating system itself. Drivers, programs, etc. Everything else is up to you now. I could show you how to install drivers as well, like the video driver, audio driver, and everything else. But this is something that changes from computer to computer. It's not the same on every single computer, so even if I showed you how to do it here, it would probably not work for you. So I'm sorry, but for that part, you are on your own. But don't be afraid, it's not too difficult. There's tutorials about it around there. You'll be fine. Let's have a look here, shall we? There it is, Windows MA. Now before I end this video, I am going to install a couple things here to make it look prettier, and I'll do a jump cut. Be right back. Here we are. I just finished installing a few drivers and also a couple softwares. Let's see how it looks now. Ooh, big screen. Nice. Ta-da! Video, audio, everything's here. Except for these two. But that doesn't matter. I'm not going to use this thing anyway. I even installed Microsoft Word. And what else can I say? Thanks for watching. Oh, kitty! I love this. So silly. Anyways, thank you, and I see you next time. Goodbye.